Dear students, in this class we will discuss Harrod Domar growth model in the context of less developed or underdeveloped economies. It is interesting to examine whether the Harrod Domar model is suitable for understanding the development difficulties of underdeveloping countries. In most underdeveloping countries, GN is greater than GW. That is, natural growth is greater than warranted growth. That is, the rate of growth of labor force exceeds the rate of growth of what is known as warranted growth. As an example, suppose that population is growing at a rate of 2% and productivity of labor is increasing at a rate of 3%, then the labor force is increasing at an effective rate of 5%. If population is growing at 2%, productivity is growing at 3%, then rate of growth of labor force in effective units is 5%. Suppose that the saving rate is S is equal to 9%. S is equal to 9%, and also that VR, the desired capital output ratio, is 3%. Then GW is equal to S by VR is equal to 9% by 3%, that is 3%. So the desired growth rate is 3%. GW is 3% if saving income ratio is 9% and desired capital output ratio is 3%. But natural growth rate is 5%. 5% greater than 3%. Now this has two consequences. It means that effective labor is growing faster than capital accumulation. Effective labor is growing faster than capital accumulation, which is in part the explanation for growing unemployment in LDCs. In the less developed countries, unemployment is increasing because effective labor force is, or natural growth rate is, exceeding capital accumulation, that is desired growth rate. The second consequence is it implies greater plans to invest. It implies greater plans to invest. Greater plans to invest than plans to save. That is, desired investment exceeds actual savings, and there will be inflationary pressures in the economy. Actual capital accumulation is only, that is inconsistent with only 3% capital output ratio. But natural growth rate is greater than warranted growth rate. That means entrepreneurs wish to make more investment. That is, there is scope for increasing capital accumulation given that capital output ratio or capital labor ratio is constant. So plans to invest exceeds plans to save. So there will be what is known as inflationary pressures in the economy. If GN is 5%, VR is 3%, there is profitable investment opportunities for 15%. If GN is 5%, VR is equal to 3%, we have 5% is equal to 15%, that will give you, VR is equal to 3%, the desired growth rate is 15%. That means there is scope for profitable investment opportunities for 15% savings, whereas actual savings is only 9%. If natural growth rate is 5%, GN 5%, and if capital output ratio desired is 3%, there is profitable investment opportunities for 15% growth rate. Investment or saving is equal to investment in the long run, but actual saving is only 9%. So this explains the simultaneous existence of unemployment and inflation in the less developed economies. The simultaneous existence of unemployment and inflation in the less developed economies, given this analysis, is not a paradox. So the existence of unemployment and inflation can be easily explained in the framework of Harrod Domar growth model. Now, given that there is inequality between GW and GN, that is GW not equal to GN, then there are 4 ways to reconcile GN and GW, or there are 4 ways to restore equality between GN and GW. 4 ways to restore equality between GN and GW. First case, GN is greater than GW. GN is greater than GW. And in this case, the rate of growth of population is, or rate of growth of labor force is greater than warranted growth rate, required growth rate. So, in this case, the mechanism to restore equality is to reduce population growth. Reduce population growth. Population growth. That is one method if GN is greater than GW. The second one is reduction in the rate of growth of labor productivity. Labor productivity. If GN is greater than GW, a second method of restoring equilibrium is reduce labor productivity. But this is not generally accepted because it reduces the living standard of the workers. So this method of maintaining or restoring equality between GW and GN is not generally suggested. The third one is raise the rate of savings S by Y. Raise the rate of savings. If the rate of savings can be increased in the previous example from 99% to 15%, then 5% growth rate can be restored. So, how it is possible to raise the rate of savings? By suitable fiscal and monetary policies. By adopting suitable fiscal and monetary policies, it is possible to increase the saving rates by offering more interest rates or by other measures. A fourth one is reduction in the required capital output ratio, that is reduction in VR. Reduction in the required capital output ratio. If there is a reduction in the capital output ratio, then it is possible to increase GW to GN. And this can be achieved by using more labor intensive techniques. So if GN is greater than GW, measures to check population growth, measures to reduce productivity, measures to increase saving ratio, measures to reduce capital output ratio, restore equilibrium between GW and GN. And these possibilities are given in this graph. In this graph, rate of growth is taken on the y-axis, investment income or saving income ratio is given in the x-axis. And G and investment ratio are related through VR. G and I by Y investment ratio are related to I by Y, something which is familiar to us. VR, the required incremental capital output ratio, and S by Y is independent of G. S by Y is independent of G. S by Y depends on income. Okay. Now, the figure is the case in which GN is greater than GW. Now, one method is to reduce population growth. This is shown by this downward arrow. Reduce GN to GW. In this graph, GN is greater than GW. One method is to reduce GN. Reduce GN. That is by take measures to reduce population growth. Then GN and GW will become equal. A second method is increase the saving income ratio, so that if a saving income ratio is increased, then what happens is GW increases to this point. That is this arrow. This arrow shows reduction in the saving income ratio, an increase in the saving income ratio. Shift saving income ratio, S by Y to say S by Y another point, so that GW and GN become equal. This is shown by this rightward arrow. The third one is pivot I by VR curve by reducing capital output ratio or by reducing V by R. So if you can pivot this I by Y or 1 by VR, VR is equal to Y by I, its reciprocal is 1 by VR, pivot it in such a way that it passes through this new, suppose that the new I by Y is the dashed line, again GN is equal to GW. So this is the problem of underdeveloped countries. Measures are required to reduce population growth, increase S by Y, or reduce the capital output ratio, or increase the productivity of investments. So the problem of underdeveloped countries can be explained in the framework of Harrod Domar growth model. And in this and the simultaneous existence of unemployment and inflation can be explained in the context of Harrod Domar growth model.